Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You know, it's just now dawning on me that I said I wouldn't make these until the patch notes came out, and I'm pretty sure both of these are going to come out before the patch notes do. Also, the wind is crazy today. The window's closed now, and I can hear it whistling through the window frame. Whatever. What's important is we're talking about Pheonix, and you probably saw the thumbnail. I'm very proud of myself that I learned basic Photoshop. I know. You don't have to applaud me. I'm no hero. Alright, fuck it, I am. Fuck it, I am. Come on. Round of applause. Okay. But, Pheonix, same thing that I want to do with Mag. If you haven't seen the Mag video, I recommend you watch it. I think it's a good idea, and I want other people's opinions on what they think about how I think about some of these characters. Because I don't want to fully rework these characters. I've been against reworks for the longest time because I think it removes a character from the game. It's essentially saying that character is no longer in the game. But I want to rework them in an aspect to change how they work so that they work the way they used to, if that makes more sense. Because like when Pheonix first came out, she was always winning. She won 1v1s very well. She won against dives super well. She was mid-range. She would lose to Hela and off in a super far range. They did not occupy the same space, is what I'm trying to say. Hela was long-range poke. Pheonix was mid-range. They're both poke, which is not good for meta, but, you know, they occupy different spaces within the meta, and it was good. And then they removed the Beyblade thing, and then they removed the spark on her melee entirely, and then they lowered her fall-off damage, so she did more damage at range, and then they buffed this and buffed that, and then changed this and changed that, and now she competes in the same spot as Hela, does everything better than Hela, better movement, better stun. Primary is more forgiving, does more damage overall, and you can take more aggressive angles on her. She self-heals all the time, and like the self-healing isn't that much, but especially in a 1v1, it is crazy good. Like, she lost that competes in mid-range. Now her and Hela occupy the same space, and when you have them occupy the same space, Hela will always be worse because of how Hela is designed versus how Pheonix is designed. Pheonix was very clearly meant to be played mid-range, off angles, super aggressive mid-range hero. And now you don't have to be, occupies the same space as Hela, and she still keeps her super aggressive. So, what I would like to do is increase the amount of fall-off damage and shorten the range at which it's most effective. Right? That's the first thing I want to do. And you can buff her damage, I guess, but I think there is a idea of lowering her primary damage and upping the explosion damage to compensate, so that way the same amount of bullets does the same amount of damage, but I'm not a big fan of that. I tossed it around my head and I was trying to do numbers on it. I was like, but then she's just budget Moon Knight, and that's no fun. That's, like, you don't play Pheonix to play budget Moon Knight, right? So, I scrapped that in my head, but so there's two ideas in my head for this one. So maybe at 10 meters it falls off, and by the time you hit 5 meters, it's just kind of not effective, meaning you play within that 10-meter range and you have to be super aggressive and aggro onto them. I like that. That's what I like. Alternatively, fall off starts at like 5 meters and goes down to like 45% by 18 meters, which is where Hela's fall off starts, because then that very clearly you're up close in their face. But I don't know, 5 meters is very, very close. If you do that, you have to increase the amount of damage her primary does, or she's not going to do shit for fuck, because I think that's too close. Though I did think it was a very cool idea, at the very least. A very cool idea. I think you increase the speed of her little float, the E. It reloads your ammo and you float around instead of the dash. I think that one, you increase the speed of how fast she moves while she's in it, because we want her to play closer, so it lets her be aggressive to get to those, to close that distance. That's what I'm trying to say. To get within 10 meters of them. To get within maybe 15 meters of them, because if, again, you want her to dominate in mid-range when whether she's playing with her team or on an off angle. You don't want her to be in the same space that Hela is in, so that way they can play on the same team together and do different things. Shocker. And again, I don't know how she's played at the highest level. I've only seen it at the highest level. I've never done it. I haven't had it on my team. I haven't had it at the enemy team. I'm currently GM2. I typically hover GM3, Diamond 1 sometimes. Like, it's depending on the season. So, you know, take it with a grain of salt. But they kind of just do the same thing right now when Pheonix is infinitely better. So do that. And so not only do I want to increase the speed of her E movement, I want to rework her melee attack, essentially turn it back into how it was. I don't know, I should have tested before I started recording. I don't know if it's a combo, her melee attack, or one big hit like Storm's is. I think it should be one big hit. Maybe you have the Pheonix actually hit them with her. I don't know, you can have some cool animation shit with that, but one melee attack, not a combo. Apply the spark like it used to. Make it apply the spark just like it used to do. I think that's goated. I think that is a great way to do it. But, you have to make it so it can't be animation canceled. So that way, it's like an up-close option. Since she is a hit-scan character, you can now use your melee instead, and it does damage. It, like, the melee is useful, and it applies sparks, and you can use it, but make it so that way you can, like, primary fire into the melee, and that's still fast, but you can't primary fire out of a melee until after the animation has finished. I don't know why that took me so hard to say, because that was the biggest problem. You could fire into the melee and fire out of the melee super quickly. It allows you to spin real fast, blah blah blah. You built your ult super fast. It should be like a bam bam, hit you with a melee and you die at mid range, or 1 2 3 melee, and the melee is super easy to hit and it's much more forgiving than her main shots. But you still have to hit some of her main shots to do damage within that range, and especially if they get too close, because mid range, not close range, it's going to be harder to hit shots because she is hit scan. And then the melee gives you a way to apply the sparks and still do damage. That is the idea with it. Also, because she's mid-range and she's more aggressive, increasing the flight speed and still having that dash means using the dash will actually apply a spark to the person you're on, and it allows her to get out of sticky situations better because she will be being more aggressive. All the characters who jump in and are super aggressive up front have a way to get out. And so Pheonix has multiple ways to get out for that reason. And now they're just used to take off angles because she's not very good close range anymore. You don't really want to do that anymore. So whatever. That's just my opinion, right? That's just how I think it should go. The goal is to make her much better at mid and close range. Like, the speed boost allows you to be more aggressive on off angles, and even like taking height. She doesn't have slow fall, but you could take height and then bam 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 on your way down. Like, just more idea, because Hela functions best at a longer range. Longer range, like 18 to 20 meters, that's where Hela functions the best. And then, I disagree with this part, but when you dive her, she can bird away, or she can stun and bird away. She can stun people on the enemy team and then tap tap, like super good on the off angle. I don't like that she gets out of dive so easily, but I already talked about it in a different video. I like this rework for Pheonix. I think it changes her, makes her better at what she used to be good at, while not taking away from what she still does. Because the thing I am most scared of when I pitch these like reworks are how to change this hero to make them be better and not just a better version of that hero, like how Elsa is a better version of Psylocke. Has the magic dash too, but even better, right? I think the best way to do that is to do it without changing the core of the character. And so by allowing them to still play that mid-range, the mid-range area super aggressive like she does right now, but removing her ability to compete with Pheonix in a long-range battle, or even compete with Pheonix in long range on your own team, is very good for her. I don't know. Again, I am not the best player in the world. I just play casually, so let me know what you guys think, because obviously this is a discussion. And tell me how good the thumbnail is, because it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. That's going to be about me. Wow. That's going to be about it from me today. I'll see you guys on the flip side. Wet Willy.